By the way, there's no clock around here. I don't know where I'm.
It's 11:15. It's 11:15.
11:15?
Yeah.
And that is that we're holding by Pasha Moya. So we find a very interesting thing that the word Moya is an imperative of the word to say. So what the Pasha is called is, to put it simply in Yiddish, Zog. Moya. You have to.
We love you very much, Rabbi Gafni. We love you very much.
You have to say. I tell you, להגיד, לאמור. You follow? As a mailer, that's off the question, what are you supposed to say? What emor. And it becomes even more interesting that's written emor el kohanim b'nei Aaron. But if I say kohanim, I automatically know that the b'nei Aaron pastors. So what do I need to say therefore? And then it's written v'omata odapam v'omata Aleichem, you should say to them, kaf v'kaf. So it's one honor. The word amira means like a soft, sort of detailed approach. Dibur is like a hard cut thing, but sort it out yourself or leave it. It's sort of said in a firm way. Amira is very sort of detailed and said carefully to the guy that he should appreciate. So what is it twice? So it comes on Rashi. Rashi says, on the one hand, it's something that's written in the Gemara, but it's very amazing that Rashi sort of puts it in, excuse me, right at the beginning of the parsha in the way he does. Rashi says, why twice? So Rashi says, lahazhir gedolim al haktanim. That you have to warn, literally, the adults that they should be mazhir to the small one, to the ktanim. What ketanim pastors means kids, small kids, ketanim. That they're before chinuch, afila, little, how do you call it, teenagers, small kids. And nonetheless, says Rashi, that the two amiras come to teach me that you have to be mazhir the gedolim ala ketanim. So, if Rashi was coming to tell us that, you got to be careful not to let we're talking about Kohanim here, yeah? So, the nefesh lo yitoma ba'omar, he's got to be careful not to be tomet l'mayit. So, it should be just written, al titain et hakotan l'kanes l'beis hakoros. Or it could be written in hundreds of ways. Be careful that the ketanim, if you're worried about the ketanim, and obviously you are, is timna tayod sucha mikanes lebeis hakoros. Hundreds of ways it could be written. But it's written davki lahazhir agedolim ala ketanim. So does anybody know what the word lahazhir, what it's really based on?
Zohar.
Yeah. The Indian from lahazhir, the root word of lahazhir is zahir or zohar. So what is Rabbi Shimon's big book? It's an amazing book with only remnants of it. They're in our hands, but they're very amazing remnants. Zohar. And what does Zohar mean? Something that shines, although not a shine stone, it gives off luminescence. Zohir or Zohar means it gives off luminescence. It not just shines, but it illuminates. I don't quite know how to use the expression. It's probably one of those words that English doesn't quite, get to grips with it. So Kunta is that the word hazir means that you got to shine somehow, warn the ketanim, but you got to shine. You got to sort of do it in a special way. And that's why Rashi doesn't talk technically about what exactly you're supposed to warn them, but you got to do it. So, but that could be written anywhere, because the Alter Rebbe said it applies to everything, not just to the Kohanim. So why did you write about the Kohanim? Write it somewhere else? Why did you write it particularly about the Kohanim? However, in order to understand the whole thing, I want to tell you briefly a story. So everybody says, Baruch Hashem, at least we'll be able to sort of relax a bit. Is tell you a very nice story. How did I hear the story? When we were coming down, somehow or another I mentioned Ramat Gan. We passed Ramat Gan or someone. So I said to my driver, well, he's probably given up on me, I don't know where he is, but...
right here.
Oh, yeah. So I said to Omer that I used to give a shiur in a shul in Ramat Gan, run by Rabbi Gafni or Shalom. I can't take it, Rabbi Gafni's not with us anymore, I can't take it.
What about his father? His father?
Yeah,
His father?
His father.
Yeah.
His father used to run the shul in Ramat Yitzchak, it's called. And I had a very close connection with his father, and he bought me, I used to give a shiur in Gemara to the Valavatim in that shiur for a long time. And he used to, give me a check at the end of the month, which really helped me. It really did, yeah. So that was Reb Gruzman's father, Reb Mottel Gruzman, all of a sudden. Anyway, I used to give this class. So there was a person that came to that class, and I've forgotten his name. I've got a problem lately, I forget names. It's an amazing thing. I can just forget a name. But anyway, whatever. I can't remember his name, but I remember what he looked like. Perfect. And he was a Chabadnik from Russia. And he knew stories galore. But he was related to 50% of all the big cities in Chabad. He would mention somebody, and he'd say, "Oh yeah, this is my mama's cousin's shviga or something." I'd say, "Well, that's my great uncles, cousins, second cousin, he was amazing. He was just related to, you name it, and Chabad, he's got it. He was an amazing person. So I used to sit with him for a few minutes after the shiur. Most times when he came to the shiur, he was a rather not so well person, so he wasn't always at the club. But when he was, we used to have a little quiz, and we would sit a bit after the shiur, and he would just tell me things, and I would listen very eagerly to what he would say. So anyway, one day he said, "Listen, I got a nice story to tell you today." So I said, "Oh, that's great. What is the story?" So he said that one of his uncles, cousins, second cousin or somebody, that he happened to actually know this, but he heard from him the story. In other words, it happened to him. So he said, "I'm Kli Shani, but I heard it from Kli Rishon. I heard it from the person. I'm just giving it over to you, but I heard it from him." So I said, "Oh, great. So what happened?" So he said that the Rebbe Rashab was also a Rebbe after a lot of the tzoros of the revolution and everything happened. Tofreish Pei was already after, when he was in study, it was after the main revolution. But at that time, there was still a tremendous amount of trouble, because there were a lot of those who were against the Bolsheviks, and they were trying to fight back, and then there were other militias that they didn't like, not the Bolsheviks and not them either, and they were fighting them, and they were shooting at them, and there were these skirmishes in the streets and all sorts of terrible things. It was a really terrible confusing time. But gradually the communists were getting their hands on them. But it took time, and they had a lot of resistance as well. And that resistance caused bilbulim, confusion. So people had no parnasa. It was very hard. And to get ordered parnasa, you had to deal basically with black market. People that were, anyway, they were questionable, but that was the only, and that was itself dangerous, because if they caught you dealing with these guys, they could send you to the super for that, you follow? Apart from the fact that you were a yid. So it was a confusing time. So he comes into Eichidas with the Rebbe Rashab in Rostov already, after the battle. Gets in the Eichidas, and he says to the Rebbe, he said, "I am in a very difficult situation. I run around the whole time, and I manage, I don't have any time. But I have a son. Hashem blessed me with a son." He said, "He's a nice boy." He said, "So I got two brailers." He said, "If I devote myself to myself and look after myself, and I be the way I should really be, then I'm not going to have time to devote myself to my son the way I should. The other way around, if I devote myself to my son the way I should, I'm not going to have time to look after myself. I'm going to be the korban." That's what he said to the Rebbe Rashab. So he said, "What should I do? What's the right way?" So the Rebbe Rashab didn't hesitate. So what do you think the Rebbe Rashab said to him? The Rebbe Rashab said to him, he said, "You have to take care of yourself." So he was upset. He didn't expect that. He said, "You have to take care of yourself." But he said, "You have to take care of yourself in such a way that it should light and shine into your son." Now, and there's an expression in Yiddish, there's a leuchten in the kind. Leuchten means to shine, like Zohar. It's like a shining luminescence. And that'll shine, and he said, then you'll be all right, and your son also, he'll be all right. Because you'll be all right. So the guy was just, thunderstruck. He didn't expect that, but that's what. So I'm sitting listening in the shul in Ramat Gan. I'm sitting listening to this whole thing. So then all of a sudden he stops and he turns to me and he says, "No, what do you say to that?" I said, that's what he says to me, this guy. So I said, that is really something. And after that, I felt my life changed a bit, you know. I don't think, ever since I heard that story, that I've been quite the same person, you know what I mean? It had a very powerful effect on me. I don't know if I've been very much clear, you know, but whatever, you know. So, what do we learn from that? That's exactly what Rashi says. Rashi says, Lahaz here hagedolim alaktonim. You've got to shine in such a way that you will affect the kids. And if you'll shine in such a, then lenefesh lo yitom, they won't become tomim. They will become tomim. Remember, that's a very amazing thing. And it comes out of you there that that's what the world calls living example. That's what the world calls living example. And it's a very powerful thing, you know, very, very amazing thing. So you might say, well, you know, I try my best, but I don't see any results. It's not right. You don't know. You never know what is being achieved. And it could be only several years down the line, you'll see that you did have an effect. And you didn't realize at that moment, but you did have an effect. And all of a sudden, somebody will say to you, oh, but you don't remember, you showed me that that was the way to do it. And all of a sudden you realize that, and you can never really tell who you're affecting. It's amazing. I had a phone call yesterday from a guy. He was one of our Talmudim, and if I mentioned, some of you guys would know him, but I don't want to mention his name. But he had a problem that he has a son that comes in a minyan, that he's building this minyan. He's having problems, you know, with the minyan. People come late, and he doesn't always have the minyan when he wants it and everything. So somebody told his son that when he goes home, he shouldn't done with that minyan. Because, you know, it doesn't always have on time, and people talk and everything. So he asked me what was my opinion. What did I think about that? So I said, you know, with all due respect, please don't tell the other guy that I disagreed with him, you know. But I think on the contrary, you have to tell your son that he has a shlichus. And when he comes to the shul, he should be beseder. And he should do it with a tmimus, and he run the minyan, he'll add to the minyan. It may not be major alteration, but it'll have an effect. And those people will talk a little bit less, because your son is around, he's doing things the way it should be. And I said, and it's very good for him, because that will help him also to be beseder, because he's going to be beseder for their sake. So Hashem should help me, should forgive me. That's what I answered. That's what I told him. And you should give your son a shlichus. Give him a shlichus, and you show him an example. You know, what is the shlichus, and people will, you know, they'll get a little bit better. Build yourself. That's the inyan for lahaz here. Gedolim alaktanim. You gotta make yourself a living example, and make somebody else a living example. He doesn't quite like it. Make him a shliach. The Rebbe wants everybody to be a shliach. Is if you build it in the form of a shliach, he will sort of see it as a chance more than if you just tell him do it. You know. What I want to tell you guys, we got to be an example, you know what I mean? So you might say, well, look, I haven't got any koch, I ain't nothing on it. I for sure don't know. We got to be a living example. And people look at us and say, be amazed. And how meaningful it is if you just show a good example. Doesn't matter in what. And in easy inyan, and just show a good example. Plainly, something clicks with him, you know what I'm saying? So it may not be noticeable for quite a while, but something clicked in him. And at some point, a little bit further down the line, all of a sudden, poof, you see that he's a little bit different than what you thought. There's something about him. And that's the way it is. And you must never give up on anybody. That's the union of Emoyer. But Emoyer means so, which means that sometimes you really don't want to talk. You're fed up and you've got no care and you don't want to talk, but you have to. So, it's an imperative. You have to talk. You have to say something. You might say, who am I? I'm nothing. Ain't nothing. You're taking nothing, but you're going to say something. You have to say something. And what is the proof? The proof is, the proof is that the Shulchan Aruch, the Alter Rebbe, begins the old Shulchan Aruch with, in the Madura Basra, he begins with the statement of the Mishnah right at the end of Pirkei Avos, Yehuda ben Tamar. Yehuda ben Tamar, Oimer, have a giver ka'ari. You have to be strong like a lion, but always can never, you got to be brazen like a leopard. Last is, you got to be like a lion. So basically, a lion's he's a tomitic animal. Well, what's a lion? He's a bit, it's not kedai to begin with him, he's a bit dangerous, What's the big yiras of a lion? The thing about a lion is, he doesn't sort of, get put off, he sort of feels a little bit, inferiority complex or something like that. A lion, he's a macher. And if you get in his way, he'll go for you. And Mamela comes out if he said that the Erech Haomer Kodesh starts in Pasha Shmini. How can we learn from a lion? He's tameh. He's a chayat tameh. And not only that, some people put lions in shuls. You know that. And in Lubavitch, I don't think they did. I don't think they were in favor of it. But if you did, they wouldn't throw it out. They would say, maybe another time don't do it. But they're not going to throw it out or something. So what's a lion doing in a shul? On a Oren Kodesh and all that. Shul a lion. What is he doing there? The other says the Erech Haomer Kodesh, he is so high, and Aryeh is Lashon Re'iyah, to see Elokus. It's a tremendous madrega. He's so high he can't come down normal through his star. The stars can't bear him. He's too much. So what happens? He falls, like the Netzitzes of Teo, but in a sort of a positive way. He falls down because he can't come the normal way. He's too big. And therefore he falls, and he happens to be a chayat tameh down here. Although his shoulders is very powerful. I can't listen Erech Haomer. Everybody says it's an amazing Erech Haomer, but that's it. The lion is really, he's a very big yichas. For some reason, he just sort of, he slid through the Seder stove. He sort of slipped and fell, he couldn't make it. And that's why he's told me, but really he's big time. He's big time. That's a line. You got to learn from it. So what you got to be big time. They might say, I'm just a slipper. So the answer is, yeah, Shalom Aleichem, you're talking a slipper, but you got to be a lion. Too bad about you. You have to be you got to be a lion. You got to say and you got to talk. And you have to say something. Yeah, Avamela, that's Yehuda ben Tamar. The Rebbe says it. There's a secret from the Rebbe, where the Rebbe says Tamar, in a language of Aramic, in the Gemara language, he said Tamar, spoke, or you speak. It means speaking. So Yehuda is Hoidoa, Hoi Chavoid, Shalom Aleichem. So Yehuda ben Tamar. If you got Hoi Chavoid, then you'll speak, you'll say things, and they'll have a good effect. But you mustn't say, who am I can't talk. That's you're not allowed to say. And that's what the pasuk says, Emer. You have to talk. That's what it means, Zog. And the whole parsha is called Emer. Tagid. Say something. It's me. That's it. Ein brera, ein malasot. You have to say something. And that's Yehuda ben Tamar, and that's like Brima. This is Hoi Chavoid. Yehuda ben Tamar. Hoi leads to saying the right thing. And therefore, the Rashbi, there's never been any person that said the right thing like Rabbi Shimon. And he's all over the whole Shat, except for Midas and Tomid and Nochibs. He appears in all the Masechtas of the Shat, and that's the Mishnah of in the Gemara. He's also all over the place.